news every day. You're watching Fox 4 at 4.
Well, roads are slick and slushy with temperatures hovering right around that freezing mark now. We've already seen a significant snowfall in some areas, and others are going to see the rain change over to snow overnight. Hi, everybody. I'm Hannah Batah. Thank you for joining me on Fox 4 at 4. We'll be updating you as those road conditions deteriorate through the evening and into tomorrow. And with those road concerns, yeah, it's going to be another snow day for many kiddos here tomorrow. Some school districts are updating their plans by the hour. Plus, there's a lot of concern for the homeless in these conditions. Volunteers tell us the challenge of convincing them to take up the shelter. But throughout the evening, you'll find the latest information about school closures scrolling right here on the bottom of your screen. Many of the districts have already canceled school for tomorrow, but some to the south are still evaluating the conditions at this hour. Today, we've seen significant snowfall, generally to the north, and a mix of rain, sleet, and snow in the DFW metro area. More snow is expected overnight with temperatures below freezing. And like we've been talking about all day long, those road conditions likely going to be dangerous yet again tomorrow morning. We're going to start things off with meteorologist Allie Turiano here now. Hey, Allie.
Hi, Hannah. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to show you some of the snow totals where those numbers have been highest. Bowie, Salina, already 6 inches of snow. Van Alstyne at 5, 4 inches for Pilot Point and Little Elm, and it's still coming down. The actual upper level disturbance moves in this evening and tonight, so we have adjusted our snowfall forecast for you going through the overnight and early tomorrow morning. 6 to 9 inch totals possible from McKinney, Denton, Bridgeport off to the north and northeast. Isolated, could we get a 10-inch snowfall? That is a possibility. If you are closer to, let's say, the Collin and Dallas line or the Denton and Tarrant line, you're in that 3 to 5 inch range, right around 2 to 4 for Dallas Metro. And then notice as you head south, less coverage, of course, because a lot of those areas have had more liquid precipitation so far today, and that changeover is going to happen later on tonight. You won't have as many hours of snowfall. So let's talk about what we're seeing on radar. Some areas still have the snow. That's generally to the north, but around Dallas and Fort Worth, a lot of this has been mixed liquid and some sleet. We're seeing some of those moderate downpours of sleet right now and actual liquid rain right around Dallas. To the south, temperatures, of course, a little bit milder. It's funny saying milder when they're at 36, but they are higher, so that's why it's all liquid there. So we're still dealing with this snow falling along Highway 82. We still have plenty of that falling in Collin and Denton counties, from McKinney to Denton down to Louisville, Fort Worth as well, that wintry mix potential, and that continues around Dallas County as well. So here's, again, notice to the south and west, there's still a lot of activity moving through. The heavier precipitation that we see on radar will often go from rain to those big wet snowflakes very quickly, but we're likely to see that changeover kind of happen back and forth, at least for the next several hours. The upper level system is going to eventually head in our direction later on this evening and tonight, and back behind it, we will dry things out. But here's what we're talking about. Really, the big issue is the hazardous road conditions. We're going to see a lot of us see that change over completely to snow overnight. The snow tapers off tomorrow morning, so while there may not be a lot of precipitation happening, roads are going to be covered. It will be a slushy mess, very difficult to travel. Temperatures are getting above freezing, so we'll see some melt tomorrow afternoon, but by tomorrow evening, everything drops again, and we're talking that big time refreeze, and then also some freezing fog potential, black ice potential by Saturday morning. I'd say Saturday afternoon is finally when we can say, okay, conditions are noticeably better across North Texas. We'll talk more about this winter weather, and I'll have your 7-day forecast coming up in just a bit.
All right, we'll check back in soon. Allie, thanks. And here's an example of just how slick those roads became earlier this afternoon. This is out of Collin County. So Tim Golliner used his Jeep there to pull that tractor trailer. It had been stranded on the Highway 75 service road. This is in Anna. Now, the highway is still open, but going slowly in both directions. Yeah, you can see what those conditions look like now on I-35. This is in Denton County between Sanger and Denton. In the last few minutes, it has been sleeting there. Those windshield wipers working today. You can see that snow there on the sides of the roads. Fox 4 traffic reporter Chip Wagner has been following the latest in North Texas all day long. He joins us now with a rare occasion this evening to see you, but we appreciate you working overtime, Chip.
It's an honor to be here and an honor to serve our community. And right now, there are plenty of slushy spots out there that folks have not handled well. And most of them have a common denominator, and that would be overpasses. So I-20, that marker you see there in the bottom of the screen, let's focus in on that first because it's the area where we've had the most recent wreck. About 5 minutes ago, a call out of a crash eastbound just before one gets to I-35W. And you can see here at the end of that overpass, vehicle is spun out, hit the wall, and an ambulance just pulled up into the area to tend to those injured. So only the two left lanes are open. Have a similar situation on Highway 121 moving through the construction zone of the Richland Hills Hearst borderline area. And in this case, it's an SUV that ended up ultimately skidding off of the roadway. And you can see the skid marks in the slushy ice along the shoulder. And then it hit the wall. And you can see the bumper still sitting on the roadway there. For drivers in Irving, a reminder, we've had a closure since about 8 o'clock this morning. The eastbound 114 exit ramp to go to 183 sealed off. That's mainly because of the buildup of ice on that transition that happened in the several hours it took to clear that crash out. And over in Mesquite, quick note, northbound on 635 LBJ. Rough wreck here involving a rig. You can see it ended up bouncing into the middle of the roadway. But if you look hard enough, you can actually see part of its bumper wedged between some of the barriers there on the right side, and only the left lane can slide through at about 5 miles an hour. Hannah?
All right, Chip, thanks. Well, the Dallas Homeless Ministry, Our Calling, working to get as many people off the streets and into one of the 3 shelters they've opened. Fox 4's Sean Rapp is live now with a look. Sean?
Yeah, Hannah, and let me tell you, the good news in Dallas, the super icy roads or the blanket of snow that we've seen in Collin County and Denton County, not here yet anyway, and that's the good news. The focus has and continues to be on the homeless and getting homeless people off the street and into shelter. Now, right now, about 1,268 homeless people are in 3 shelters, Austin Street Shelter and 2 places in Fair Park, Grand Place and the Tower Building, along with 4 cats and 9 dogs. Listen, they're only at 69% capacity, all total for the building, so there's plenty of room to bring more people in away from what could really be a bad weather night. Outreach workers from Our Calling, they've been out on what they call search and rescue missions, trying to get folks to come in. Now, while some say yes to their open arms offer, others say not. And the workers' experience with this population respects the person and their choices.
We're not going to go into somebody's tent, but we are going to announce ourselves, let them know who we are, that we've got emergency shelter available, and if we don't get a response, then we just have to move on.
Now, we learned during a virtual news conference today that at least 36 people who've come to the shelter at Fair Park met with social workers and now have placements planned beyond the storm. That's good news. Of course, car crashes come with this weather, as you might expect. There's been a number of accidents in Dallas, 29 in 24 hours. The morning hours between 8 and noon saw double the amount of accidents on a typical day in Big D. Dallas Animal Shelter said they've had 140 calls for animals left outside in backyards or chained in front yards in the cold. Officers have gone out and spoken to those folks, and they corrected the violations, whatever those might have been, while the officers were there. If you haven't had your trash picked up in Dallas today, it's not going to be picked up. They have suspended that. They'll try to resume tomorrow, and folks who normally get their trash picked up on Friday, that might happen later, may not happen on Friday. And Encore says we've only had minimal outages in the city of Dallas anyway, as it relates to the storm right now. But nighttime is coming with the predictions of snowfall.
Right. Sean, we're not out of it yet, and I know there will be more developments with this story to come. Thank you so much for the update. Well, flights from around the country have not been able to take off bound for DFW Airport because of the snow and the ice that we've had here. A ground stop has been in effect for much of the day for incoming flights and is still in effect until at least 5 p.m. According to FlightAware, there have been more than 700 cancellations at DFW, roughly 2/3 of all flights. More than 130 flights have been canceled, leaving Dallas Love Field. That's a little under half of all of them. Even flights that are able to take off have been delayed. DFW Airport says those delays are so that the airports can de-ice their planes before taking off. Anyone traveling should check with their airline before venturing out.
In anticipation of the weather, our airline partners began adjusting their flight schedules as of yesterday. So last night we started seeing a lot of cancellations coming in for the next day or so. As always, passengers should check directly with their airlines for flight statuses and assistance with rescheduling.
So far, both airports remain open with no plans to close. Well, some drivers we spoke to in Collin County had struggles with the slick roads as that wintry mix started early this morning. Fox 4's Alex Boyer joins us from Collin County with more on this. Alex.
Hey, Hannah, we're in Plano, and at the moment, it's rain that's coming down in this area. That's Central Expressway behind me, and I can tell you that it's definitely wet and slippery right now. Now, as we headed northbound on 75 earlier today, the driving conditions definitely started to worsen. The rain and sleet turned more slushy and began to accumulate on the roads, and we did see several trucks out there applying a layer of brine to the lanes there, trying to keep things from turning icy. Still, we did pass several vehicles like that car there that ended up spinning out and on the shoulder. And by the time we got to Melissa, the weather conditions were pretty bad. I talked to one woman who is driving to Austin from Tulsa, Oklahoma. She said the last few hours have been, in her words, terrifying.
Very slow. Everybody's moving really slow, but I saw an 18-wheeler jackknifed, people sliding all over the place. Lots of people that had just slid and kind of, I think, were too scared to keep moving, so just got out of their car and were just stranded. But I've seen people just pulling over to stop to stay safe, but it's super dangerous conditions.
I also talked to another motorist who was headed to Sherman. He stopped at the gas station to put on these auto socks on his rear tires. He says that they act like tire chains and help to keep his truck from sliding. He's got to go to Sherman for work, or he says he'd be home. I can tell you that in our experience driving around during weather conditions like this, I did see what I would say are less people on the roadways than I have in previous events. Hopefully that means that most people are staying inside and staying safe.
I'm right there with you, Alex. Couldn't agree more. Thank you so much. All right, coming up here on Fox 4 at 4, while we deal with this winter weather, people in Southern California feel fear for their lives and their homes as a number of deadly wildfires rage through that area, mostly uncontained. It's already claimed the lives of several and destroyed thousands of homes. And the world tuned into President Jimmy Carter's funeral held today in Washington before he was brought back to Georgia, where his body will be buried. And we're continuing to keep a close eye on the snowfall throughout our area. The latest look and totals and how much more we expect to get next. Welcome back. Well, the nation's capital came together for a final farewell to former President Jimmy Carter. Fox's Caroline Elliott has the latest.
Spectators lined up early and braved the cold to say goodbye to America's 39th president. Carter, a former naval officer, engineer, and peanut farmer, died at the age of 100 after 22 months in hospice care. Thursday, he was honored with a state funeral at the National Cathedral, where family, friends, and several high-profile guests, including every living former president, came together to pay their respects.
I miss him, but I take solace in knowing that he and his beloved Rosalind are reunited again.
President Joe Biden delivered the eulogy and remembered him as a humble man of deep faith. Colleagues and family also honored Carter's legacy of selfless leadership and service.
President Carter parked politics at the Oval Office door to do what he believed was the right thing.
2 posthumous eulogies were also delivered. The sons of Carter's late Vice President Walter Mondale and his White House predecessor Gerald Ford, both reading speeches their fathers wrote before they died.
Jimmy Carter and I were rivals, but for the many wonderful years that followed, friendship bonded us.
After the funeral, President Carter was honored at the Baptist Church here, where he taught Sunday school ever since leaving the White House in 1981. In Plains, Georgia, Caroline Elliott, Fox 4 News.
Firefighters in Southern California have made some progress, but those fires are still burning out of control near Los Angeles. Residents were able to start making their way back to destroyed homes today to try to salvage what was left behind. This after a new fire picked up last night in the Hollywood Hills, forcing more evacuations. Fox's Sunny Sai has the latest.
It looked apocalyptic.
The devastation unprecedented as wildfires continue to burn across Los Angeles. In Pacific Palisades, entire neighborhoods have been reduced to ash.
It is safe to say that the Palisades fire is one of the most destructive natural disasters in the history of Los Angeles.
That fire burning more than 17,000 acres so far and destroying more than 1,000 structures.
It just took a long time to fathom that this could just all disappear like that.
More than 180,000 people have been put under evacuation orders as 5 fires continue to burn across LA. Thousands of firefighters on the ground are working to contain the firestorm. 100-mile-per-hour winds that fueled the flames earlier this week have calmed for now, but are expected to return in the coming days.
The winds will die down a little bit and you think, oh, here's where we can hunker in and get some containment. And then all of a sudden the real gusts come back and it's back and off to the races again.
Those high winds make the fire's path unpredictable. Officials urge residents to be prepared to evacuate at a moment's notice.
When you are asked to evacuate immediately. Do not hesitate.
We're getting our first look at some of the widespread devastation left behind now, and residents are wondering how they will even begin to pick up the pieces.
Los Angeles has true grit. It has resilience, and it will rebuild, and it will rebuild better than ever.
In total, these fires have burned more than 29,000 acres across Los Angeles. In Pacific Palisades, Sunny Sai, Fox News.
Very sad. It's going to be a rough recovery for parts of California here in the coming days. Here at home, a lot of kids enjoying the snow days. Some areas still no winter precipitation, but I'll tell you that is going to change. This is a great father-son moment, building a snowman in Sanger. Thank you so much, Rachel Mullins, for that photo. Now, on our Fox 4 views, you can tell where we haven't had the snow. That shot's in Stephenville. There's nothing on the grass there, but plenty in Lantana, a mix of slushy kind of wet mess in Dallas, and then down near Cedar Creek Lake, temperatures still in the mid-30s, and it's generally been just rainfall there. And we still have a lot of that snow to the north, the kind of wintry mix has been around parts of Denton and Collin counties. A lot of this more snow than anything else. And then you're looking at that wintry mix across Dallas and parts of Tarrant County as well. As you head south, it has definitely been more liquid for a good portion of Ellis County. And then, of course, to the south, south and as we go southwest, very heavy rain falling. Clifton, Hamilton, Turnersville. So whenever this precipitation really starts to increase in intensity, it can very well lower the temperature just a little bit. So you start to see those very large wet flakes kind of mixed in with the rain and some sleet pellets. So bottom line, this wintry mix continuing for most of us. A lot of the snowfall has been in our areas north of Dallas-Fort Worth, but eventually we are going to see a lot of that change thanks to this upper level system that's going to swing through here tonight. So here we are, that low kind of getting absorbed by the upper level flow, and it's just going to move right across the area. So the coverage of snowfall is actually going to increase. You'll notice those that have had more of a wintry mix and liquid precipitation, you start to see that change over tonight. Highest accumulations expected for areas of Denton, Collin County, northern Hunt County, Hopkins County, points northward to the Red River. But even as far south as Waxahachie, Hillsborough, Meridian, you're going to see that change over to snow and then more of a wintry mix in our far southeastern zones that have had just liquid precipitation so far today. So here's our updated thinking on just how much snow once all is said and done. Keep in mind there will be some outliers in this bright pink range, potentially greater than 9 inches of snow. But I think because we've seen in a lot of areas some of that sleet kind of mix in, it becomes packed. So that could impact the official totals once we're all said and done. But across much of the Metroplex, 2 to 4 and 3 to 5 as you head closer to the Collin and Dallas line. Same goes for Denton and Tarrant County line. From Denton and McKinney northward, that's where those highest totals are likely going to be once we get this thing out of here. So when does it get out of here? We still have plenty more on the way going through this evening. Notice that wintry precipitation, that mix, it starts to shift south and east with the snow moving into our western and southwestern zones. By tomorrow morning, a few snow showers still possible, but I believe a lot of that is going to be east of the I-35 corridor. We're kind of left with flurries on the back side of this, and then you'll notice a strong northwest breeze through the day. Some clearing of our skies in the afternoon. Temperatures do climb back above freezing, so we will have some melting. But here's the problem. You can't melt 5 to 8 inches of snow in a matter of a couple of hours. So things will kind of compact. We'll have a lot of slush out there, and then we refreeze everything overnight into Saturday morning. It is going to be an icy mess on a lot of our roadways Saturday morning. On top of that, some freezing fog potential as well as temperatures drop back down into the frigid 20s. By the afternoon, a south breeze develops and we're back in the 40s, and then we'll finally start to see things really melt. And then I think conditions will be noticeably better for the rest of your weekend. Here's your forewarned 7-day forecast. Coverage tonight nearly 100%. We'll call it 20% early tomorrow morning. Don't forget, we will still have some major impacts on the roadways, not just the first part of tomorrow, but again Saturday morning with that freezing fog and just icy conditions. And then from there on, we are drying out and warming up.
All right, Allie, thanks. And make sure to download the free Fox 4 Weather app for the latest winter weather alerts. If you scan that QR code on your screen, it'll take you right to it. The app has live radar, weather alerts, and a whole lot more. All right, coming up here, we are looking at how everyone is reacting to today's wintry weather and spending their days in the snow, like this man who decided to ski through McKinney.
Fox 4 at 4 o'clock.
Well, the Ohio State University Band arrived in North Texas today ahead of the Cotton Bowl tomorrow. The band making its first stop in Melissa at the Melissa Championship Center for rehearsals. UT Band put on its rehearsals at the Coppell ISD Fieldhouse today. Both of those were open to the public. The bands will take the field tomorrow during the Cotton Bowl at AT&T Stadium. And we are still looking at all the fun and in the snow around North Texas and all the snowmen being built. Thank you to everyone who sent in these fun photos. We do sure like to see them.
Watching Fox 4 at 4.
Well, some parts of North Texas have already received as much as 6 inches of snow. Wherever you are, you're likely to still get some sort of precipitation, or we're going to get more before it's all said and done. All this moisture, of course, impacting the roadways in our area. There you can see, yeah, that precipitation still on the roadways in some areas. Yeah, as we sit on the 33-degree mark, thankfully, that doesn't mean any slick spots there, but it could mean some icy roads as we dip below freezing again overnight. This is what it's like along I-35 out in Denton County. Yeah, you see the snow on both sides of the roads. We're going to turn things back over to Fox 4 meteorologist Allie Turiano. And Allie, you're saying for some areas the heaviest snowfall may be yet to come.
Yeah, the actual upper level system will get in here late this evening and overnight tonight. So we're likely to see some of these snow totals double in a few spots. And it's specifically our northern locations that have had some of the higher totals in the 4 to 6 inch range, from Little Elm to Bowie and Salina, already 6 inches of snow, and it's still coming down. So there is more on the way. Now, at times, sometimes that wet snow becomes mixed with sleet as well as rain. So it kind of compacts a little. I think that's going to impact our eventual totals as we bring out the rulers tomorrow morning. But notice our temperatures. We are in the low to mid 30s. Those to the south with those mid 30s, this has been all liquid. And as you go north, that's where that wintry mix and snowfall continues. And we've had at least some more liquid here in Denton most recently, but it is likely going to change over again before the afternoon is up. So we're still watching this activity move across all of North Texas. The roads are slick, very slushy in a lot of areas of the Metroplex. And for our southern zones where it is still all liquid, I do expect that changeover to take place pretty much area-wide later on this evening and late tonight as this upper-level system moves from west to east. So how much are we talking? Anywhere from 2 to 5 inches of snowfall forecasting through early tomorrow morning for the Metroplex, and then you go higher totals likely for Denton, McKinney areas north. The more south you are, we're seeing less accumulation. So what does all that mean for you in the grand scheme of things? We really don't want you out on the roads if you don't have to be out there. It will be hazardous tonight, again tomorrow morning, slushy, covered roads, even though the snow is coming to an end. By Friday afternoon, we warm up above freezing, but it's not going to melt everything. So we expect a refreeze and also some fog potential Saturday morning. So that also means rough conditions again for drivers. By Saturday afternoon, I think it's safe to say we will be drying out completely and things will look much better. We'll talk more about this winter weather and have your 7-day forecast in just a bit.
All right, Allie, thanks. Well, the school snow day was well worth it for kids in Richardson. There were enough snow for snowballs, snowmen, even sledding. Fox 4's Lori Brown joins us live in Richardson with the story. I'm sure your kids enjoyed the day there.
Oh, yes, Hannah, it turned out to be great. It's been a couple of years since there was enough snow to go sledding here in Richardson. So when kids woke up this morning with no sign of any snow, they were prepared to be disappointed, but it did not take long for things to change. Even after it started snowing, though, some people still doubted that we were going to get this much and be able to actually play in the snow. And 11-year-old Diego Garza, though, he didn't doubt. He has put his entrepreneurial skills into action in anticipation of this very moment.
I created this snowball maker with my 3D printer, and you just clamp it, and then you open it, and there's a perfect snowball.
I told my brother and his friend that it was snowing, and they were like, it's just frost. And I was like, no, it's actually snow. And then his friend was like, oh no, it's actually snow.
I think it's so fun. It's like a winter wonderland in Texas.
The wet snow turned out to be perfect for building snowmen, throwing snowballs, and lots of sledding. People without sleds also discovered that inner tubes worked great as well. Now, the snow is still on the ground, but with all of this rain, it's definitely getting slushy and melting it away. But as Allie talked about, more snow is on the way. So kids here are hoping that maybe they can get a couple more hours of fun in the morning. Hannah.
Yeah, many of us might not have those sleds here in Texas, those snow sleds, but we do have those tubes. Thank you, Lori. Well, street crews have been fanned out across North Texas, working to try to make the roads safe. While it's been treacherous for some, the snow has been a joy for others. Fox 4's Dion Anglin joins us now live with more on what's happening in Tarrant County. Dion.
Hi there, Hannah. It has been a mixed wintry bag, and the day has brought about adventure it's brought about driving challenges and also fun for the kiddos and even some pets. Now, call it dog days of winter for a jovial romp around in the snow. The snowy backdrop in northern Tarrant and Denton counties brought out the adventurous and playful. Kids home from school today had a time, from shoveling the soft white powder to rolling around in it. Driving, though, another aspect altogether. In Fort Worth, roads and freeways by midday Thursday, slushy and precarious.
The biggest thing is people driving too fast. That's what I worry about most. It is slippery out there, and just, people slow down, please. You just got to be careful out there.
Well, good advice for everyone who has to get behind the wheel. Take extra precautions and keep speeds at a minimum. Right now, the surface roadways are a mess. It is definitely slushy, and if there is anything that you do, please pack your patience while driving and be careful. Watch your speed and keep your distance from other vehicles. That's the very latest live. Back to you guys.
Appreciate it, Dion. Thanks. And here's a live look at the TxDOT Center in Mesquite, where the traffic conditions are being monitored. The roads are slow and slushy, but they are passable for now. That's going to likely change when the temperatures drop below freezing tonight. Let's check in again with Chip Wagner in the latest there. Hey, Chip.
Anna, some of these crashes have been major in nature, and one of the worst spots by far has been the last hour plus along northbound 635 LBJ, just north of I-30. We do now have wreckers on the scene of that crash, and they're addressing that part of the puzzle. And until they get that all loaded up and clear, they're going to keep the right side of the roadway blocked. At the same time that crash cleanup is going on, the crews on the other side of the wall are actually having to change out some of the barriers that were compromised in the crash. So again, all of that has to be finished up before they can reopen the main lanes here, and it's obviously slower than normal moving up past the Town East Mall. We've had a series of crashes pop up and disappear on overpasses. That makes kind of sense, sadly, where people are simply going way too fast. Northbound I-45, just north of the 175 merge, and on I-30 in the westbound direction going across the Trinity River Bridge. Now, in both cases, wreckers were sent into that area and were able to quickly clear them out. And I've seen a couple of crews go through that area to retreat those overpasses in the last few minutes. A reminder on Highway 114 in Irving. The eastbound closure of the highway at Loop 12 is still in play as they continue to de-ice the overhead, where we had an early morning crash closer to the 183 merge. Here's some good news over in Tarrant County. Been keeping tabs on a crash where a vehicle ended up spinning out along 121 at Hanley-Etterville. That crash cleared just a couple minutes ago. You can see it's moving along okay, but it's just so treacherous out there. Please don't get out if you don't have to. Hannah?
All right. Thanks, Chip. Well, Californians are starting to see the damage left behind by the state's devastating wildfires. The second largest of the fires is burning now. It's already burned more than 10,000 acres north of Los Angeles. Fox's Mario Ramirez takes a look at the damage.
Some of these structures are still smoldering, many reigniting, forcing crews to move from location to location. So this here, what's left of it, this used to be an herbal medicine shop. At least that's what it's listed as. If we show you what's inside, there's really not much to indicate what was there. There's no signage. So we've basically been having to use Google Maps for some of these businesses that aren't listed, and also talking to nearby residents when we can to find out what these places were. Now, just in front of this business, or what's left of it, take a look. You can see some cars that were torched here. We've seen dozens throughout this area here in Altadena. Just imagine that fire passing through car by car, home by home, business by business, across the street here, across Lake Avenue. You can see about 24 cars parked in the lot there. That is a Breakmasters that caught fire. This entire stretch, we count at least 6 homes here on Boston Street that are completely gone, and we'll show you one here at the corner next to the tattoo shop and this herbal medicine shop. And it looks like this for blocks and blocks. It's really hard to grasp. It's unbelievable when you're driving through this area, and unfortunately that's the scene that many of these residents are going to be looking at when they're repopulating these areas, which is not the case yet. Again, those mandatory evacuations still in place. But just look at this. It's really, really sad to see this devastation.
Yeah, and unrecognizable, any of those shops. That was Mario Ramirez reporting. California fires are setting in motion an insurance crisis after most major insurers left the state last year. The state's biggest insurer, State Farm, canceled 72,000 policies, 30,000 of which were homeowner policies. California's insurer of last resort, called Fair Plan, will likely be overwhelmed by the incoming claims, but it's unlikely all will be resolved. The Fair program has only $700 million on hand to pay those claims.
They think that they have valued their home at a certain amount, and they find out later that their insurance carrier was just using some algorithm that had nothing to do with the actual replacement cost of their home. And then also just this massive level of devastation.
According to Realtor.com, just 5.5% of the homes in the United States face the risk of wildfire damage, but roughly 39% of them are in California, with LA being the riskiest city. Still ahead, some local school districts are getting creative with their school cancellation announcements. And here's a live look. We are continuing to take a look at the snow totals so far, where some parts of North Texas have reported a half a foot of snow. More on the night as it continues, though. Even more snow to come. We'll have the latest coming up next. Well, driving on the roads in and around parts of North Texas has been a bit of a challenge today. Fox 4's Paige Ellenberger and photographer Kevin Bell were in Denton County early this morning, navigating the roads there as that storm began.
And we've been tracking road conditions really all morning long, from Denton County all the way to Dallas County and vice versa. There has been some issues that we've seen. I'm going to flip the camera so you can see the buildup here. We are currently on I-35E heading south back toward the Dallas area. Folks that you can probably see in the distance a little bit have their flashers on, taking it quite slow. We're going below 40 miles per hour on this road, which is slower than the posted speed limit, but it truly is necessary necessary just to be sure that we and others around us on the road are as safe as possible. We just got over passed on an overpass, and of course we all know those can be some of the trickiest areas, overpasses and bridges. Just take it slow, take your time, and add extra time into your schedule if you do need to be out on the roads today, heading into tomorrow. You see some of the sand buildup on the roads too. That's mixed with sleet. Doesn't lend well with our tires and our tractions too. So just take it slow if you need to be out. And this sleet wintry mix isn't going anywhere for the entire Metroplex over the next 24 to 48 hours. So if you need to be outside, account for some extra time, be a little bit cautious, and mind other drivers on the roadway too. But if you don't need to be out on the roads, take it slow, stay at home, enjoy some hot cocoa with your loved ones, and just enjoy the weather that we don't see here in North Texas all that often. Reporting for Fox 4 News, I'm Paige Ellenberger.
I like where Paige's head is at. All right, some schools got creative today with their announcements for closures, like at Brock ISD, for example.
Ice, space. Brock ISD is closed. Ice, space. Brock ISD is closed. We out.
Brock is about 40 miles southwest of Fort Worth. There were a couple of inches, I know, expected to fall today, Allie, but you're saying the unpredictability of the weather. They at least said was the reason for shutting the doors for the day. They wanted obviously to protect the safety of the students and staff there. I love that they got creative with the announcement. I think it's cute. I'm glad everyone is safe. If it was a more dangerous situation, I think that would be a different story. But I think this was fun. They played with it.
Yeah. I'm sure the parents got a chuckle. The kids have no idea what that song is.
That's true. That is true. This one was for the parents, which, you know what, they could use a little laugh today.
Yeah,
a lot of extra work on their hands.
And I got this for you, Hannah, so you got to look at this video. Kitty's first snow. It's not just the pups enjoying the snow today.
I'm going to go cry now. This is so cute.
Adorbs, right?
So cute. Little paw prints.
We've been getting a ton of videos and pictures from folks. We appreciate all the snowmen you've been making, all the animals that are enjoying it out there. So we're glad folks are able to at least enjoy that part of it. But I will tell you, those that have not had a lot of snow just yet, we're going to see more of a wintry mix to snow across pretty much all of North Texas tonight with significant accumulations. We've already had some of that from the Metroplex northward. Hazardous driving conditions, of course, will still be around, not just tomorrow morning, but likely again going into Saturday morning, because that slush is going to refreeze, and we're even expecting some fog potential, freezing fog potential for your Saturday morning. So this is still an extended time here where we need to be cautious on our roads. So I talked about the liquid precipitation. Well, it's finally down to 32 in Stephenville, but notice there is just no snow on the grass. That is going to change later on tonight. We've got plenty of it, though, up in Lantana, and it's kind of a wintry mix, slushy mess in Dallas right now, with all liquid as you head south and west. Cedar Creek Lake still near 36 degrees, so that remains rain at this point. So when we look at the radar has a very tough time trying to determine what's snow, what's rain, what's sleet, what's freezing rain. So when you see these pinks and purples, that's more of that wintry precipitation, but it could also be coming out of what looks like just good old-fashioned rain. What I can tell you is where we've got those darker blues, that is for sure snowfall, and it's just been going pretty much all day for areas like Gainesville and Sherman. So right now across Denton, Collin counties, Tarrant, Dallas counties, you're getting a little bit of everything. A lot of this has been liquid in Dallas recently, and that also extends into parts of Rockwall, Kaufman counties, and points south into Ellis County, as well as to the south and west. So a lot of this at this point is moderate to almost heavy rainfall, some large flakes, some sleet pellets, all probably mixed in with this near Bosque County and Hamilton County. The actual upper level system is not here yet. So this is just the appetizer of what we expect to take place later on this evening. So the entree is coming, and that's this upper level disturbance. That's what's going to change over a lot of the precipitation from that wintry mix and liquid to more snowfall. And we're definitely going to see that in our western counties. counties tonight, and then it's going to spread to the east as the night goes on. Tomorrow morning, still a snow shower or two possible in our eastern counties. The rest of us, just some flurries. Notice our temperature's not really changing a whole lot. We're still near the freezing mark. Roads are going to be difficult to drive on. By tomorrow afternoon, some clearing from west to east. I think we're going to be socked in with the clouds in our eastern zones. So we'll average mostly cloudy skies, but notice our temperatures, they climb enough that we start to see some melt. Some, but if you're in that area where you've already had 6 inches of snow, that's not going to melt in a couple of hours. So it's just going to refreeze. It'll be rough tomorrow evening, and then again by Saturday morning, with actual temperatures dropping down into the 20s, along with some freezing fog potential, very icy, slick roads yet again. Saturday afternoon, southerly breeze kicks in, and we're back into the 40s, so it will start to really melt everything, and I think we're going to do much better by Saturday afternoon area-wide. So how much snowfall are we talking? That brighter shade of pink, McKinney, Denton, Bridgeport, northward, that's in the 6 to 9 inch total once all is said and done. 1 or 2 spots, could you get a little bit higher than that? It is a possibility. If you're closer to Dallas and Fort Worth, we're in really the 2 to 5 inch range. Closer to the Collin, Dallas, and Denton, Tarrant lines, those numbers are much higher than what we're seeing in the city of Dallas and just south of Fort Worth. And then in our far southern zones, of course, lower coverage with more liquid precipitation and that wintry mix instead of snowfall. So we are still in the thick of it here for a little while longer. Precipitation comes to an end tomorrow, but we are going to see everything refreeze. We have travel conditions that are going to be downright hazardous through at least Saturday morning. And then not only are we drying out, but we'll start to warm things up. You'll notice next week those high temperatures are back to normal.
All right, Allie, thanks. Downtown Dallas was quieter than normal thanks to the winter weather, but that did not stop everyone from coming outside. Some Dallas residents were out and about in the wintry mix, grabbing some last-minute supplies. We caught up with some outside a Kroger, this is in Northeast Dallas, who told us the weather for them is exciting.
I just adore it. It's just, I've lived here all my life, and I just live for this. Are you kidding me?
I love it. You know, I've lived here all my life, 40 years, so, you know, I was always growing up watching the news early in the morning, seeing if our schools were closed, so I'm used to it.
Oh, that makes me happy to hear they enjoyed it. Yeah, in other parts of the area, people were out playing in the snow and making those last-minute preparations before the heavier weather sets in. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Well, the snow made for some winter fun for North Texans. Kids in Argyle built the snow castle. That's a fun take on it, and then enjoyed tumbling down that hill for their snow day. More fun in the snow will be on the way for some North Texans tomorrow as well. Salina ISD shared a video of these students pelting the superintendent with snowballs. They showed no mercy. That was before he announced schools there would be closed tomorrow. I can only imagine more pictures and videos to come. We love to see them. Send them our way. Well, thank you for joining me for Fox 4 at 4. Steve and Heather are next with more news.
The winter storm made it a tough day for air travelers in North Texas. Passengers faced more than 1,000 flight delays and cancellations.
There is a lot of concern for those who are homeless in these cold, wet conditions. Volunteers told us there are even challenges when convincing some people to take shelter.
The winter storm made driving dangerous for those brave enough to get out and drive around a bit, but we'll have the very latest on North Texas road conditions.
You're watching Fox 4 News.
A winter storm warning remains in effect across North Texas as a rain-snow mix continues to fall. Good evening, I'm Steve Eager.
I'm Heather Hayes. All right, some parts of North Texas have already seen 6 inches of snow. Kids out rolling in it, having a lot of fun. A lot of school districts extended their campus closures through tomorrow. The updates are right there at the bottom of your screen.
Road conditions are not great and will likely get worse tonight when the temperature drops below freezing. This is along I-35. We're driving in Denton County. The roads look drivable, at least. Here's Chief Meteorologist Dan Henry. Hey, Dan.
Hey there, Steve and Heather. Yeah, it's we've had a little temperature rise the last few hours, and so that's made driving a little bit more manageable, but that's not going to last very long, as I expect those roads to go downhill pretty quickly as we see this wintry mix changing over to snow in many areas. There's some snowfall totals. White Settlement, Frisco, Decatur 3 inches, South Lake and Addison 2 inches, but as you've said, we've seen upwards of 6 inches of snow in northern Denton County, northern northern Collin County, up towards the Red River, and yet in far southern Tarrant and also Dallas counties, barely anything at all so far. Current temperatures hovering right around or just above the freezing mark here in Dallas and Fort Worth. We're at 33 Denton, 32 McKinney, 33 in Waxahachie, and really a hodgepodge. This is exactly what we expected through the course of the day. Some of you have seen all types of precipitation literally within an hour or two. Rain, sleet, snow, and even some freezing rain, and that continues now. To the north, it leans predominantly towards snow, where you're seeing these blue colors: Wise County, Montague County, through Cook County, Grayson County, a good portion of Collin County. It's definitely a mix here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, ranging from rain to snow, and down to the south as well. We've got leaning more towards rain, but there are some heavier echoes now showing up down around Hamilton County, Meridian County. Those could be some big snowflakes or perhaps some sleet that are producing those higher returns on radar. So here's a look at the conditions tonight. We're going to see this wintry mix changing over to snow in many areas, and that will lead to hazardous driving conditions. That snow tapers off by mid-morning tomorrow, leaving us with slushy to, in some cases, snow-covered roads. Friday afternoon, improvement on the roads as a lot of it turns slushy, with temperatures warming up to around 36, 37. But tomorrow night and early Saturday morning, we'll see a hard refreeze. So any slush will freeze solid. And on top of that, we could see some freezing fog develop in parts of the area. We'll take a look at futurecast, expected snowfall totals, and your 7-day outlook coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Dan, thank you. Flights all across the country scheduled to come to or through DFW Airport have not been able to take off from their original cities bound for North Texas because of the snow and ice here.
A ground stop has been in effect much of the day for incoming flights and will remain that way until at least 7 o'clock tonight. And Love Field, in fact, just issued a ground stop for incoming flights until 6 p.m. According to FlightAware, more than 1,400 inbound and outgoing flights have been canceled for DFW, more than 260 canceled at Love Field. Even flights that are able to take off are delayed. See the line. DFW Airport saying those delays are so airlines can de-ice planes before takeoff. Of course, as we know, anybody traveling needs to check with the airline before heading out.
In anticipation of the weather, our airline partners began adjusting their flight schedules as of yesterday. So last night we started seeing a lot of cancellations coming in for the next day or so. As always, passengers should check directly with their airlines for flight statuses and assistance with rescheduling.
And so far, both airports remain open. No plans to close.
The city of Dallas says it's been responding to snow and ice calls when needed, where and when needed, but says there really haven't been any significant problems.
And the most attention right now, though, is going to those who do not have shelter for the night. Fox 4's Sean Rabb live with the story. Sean.
Yeah, you know, we had been in between rain showers here in Dallas, and then right at 5 o'clock, the cold rain starts to fall again. As you say, Heather, the big emphasis today, though, in the city of Dallas has been on the homeless and finding shelter for them to get them off the streets. Now, police have had their hands full working their share of accidents, and city sand trucks have been rolling, responding to calls for slick spots and bridges and overpasses.
Sand trucks spreading out across Dallas, responding to calls for slick spots, especially on bridges and overpasses in Oak Cliff. As precip falls and temperatures flirt with freezing, crashes. Over the past 24 hours, Dallas police working nearly 30 incidents. City leaders holding a virtual news conference where Emergency Management and Crisis Response Director Kevin Odom says in a 4-hour window Thursday morning between 8 and noon,
our volume of traffic accidents is roughly double what it normally would be.
The city overlaying accident locations with weather data to determine hotspots where streets need additional treatment. So far, though, not much impact. Only 10 traffic signals across the city impacted by the cold and flashing red.
We can grab your stuff if you want to.
Street outreach teams from Our Calling Homeless Ministry on what they call search and rescue missions Thursday, gently urging to get folks like this man huddled in the cold rain on the steps of a church to come and go with them. Some 1,268 people plus 13 pets have been brought in out of the cold so far, being housed at Austin Street Shelter and 2 places at Fair Park, Grand Place, and the Tower Building. The 3 facilities have a lot of room for more, only at 69% capacity.
This is a really great opportunity for us because we have people who come in who we would not normally reach, who are emergency shelter resistant. And we are using this time to really focus on housing as many of them as we can.
DallasCityHall.com Homeless Solutions has listed recreation centers that have what's called cold weather packs,
which include a Mylar blanket, gloves, hat, socks, and hand warmers.
And hunkering, like all of us, to wait for the worst of this winter storm.
So Encore says that there have been minimal power interruptions in the city of Dallas, and of course everybody's glad about that. Now, sanitation pickup was stopped today because of the deteriorating conditions in some of the alleyways and side streets. They're going to start with Thursday collections tomorrow if they're able to. Friday collections, of course, will be pushed down the road a little further. And Dallas Animal Services said they've responded to 140 calls from neighbors who see pets in backyards out in this weather. They've sent out animal control officers and talked to folks, and a lot of those were corrected while the animal control officers were there. So raining right now in the city, and of course, as we just heard, more expected to come tonight, maybe even that snow in Dallas.
All right. Okay. Sean Rabb, thank you.
Driver of a big rig lost control and ended up in a dangerous position after jackknifing and damaging a retaining wall.
It happened this morning in Irving, eastbound on 114 on the ramp there, merging with 183. Heavy-duty wreckers were brought in to remove the truck. So let's check in with Fox 4's traffic reporter, Chip Wagner. Chip, we don't see you a lot at night, so good to see you, but sorry about the conditions outside.
It is a tough commute everywhere because of the conditions for sure, and it's good to see you both. The drive on 114, by the way, eastbound, is still shut down 8+ hours later. And this isn't because of the cleanup, but more because of the massive ice slush buildup that is on what's mostly an overhead from this point over to the eastbound 183 merge. They've actually been plowing that, trying to retreat the roadway. And again, they still haven't gotten that to a point to where it's safe enough for use. So please, again, note that all traffic is forced to go to Loop 12. One can go south to the 183 interchange there, and then utilize eastbound 183 to make it over toward Dallas instead. On the east side of Dallas County, moving northbound on LBJ, had a crash about 2 hours ago involving an 18-wheeler, and all of the wrecked vehicles have been cleared out. But the problem, as you can see, is that they're having to repair the wall, take out one chunk of the wall and put a new wall up. And so again, there's a lot of activity still on the right side of the roadway. Approach that area with caution. You can see up in Collin County lots of slow roads. I-35E across the Louisville Lake Bridge, a stark reminder of why you don't have express lanes open. Look at that ice patch through that area. Quick note, just a little bit to the west of the Texas Motor Speedway, a series of crashes on 114 around FM 156. So again, use extra caution heading through that spot. Steve?
All right, Chip, thank you. Nice to see green and yellow and not much red on the map so far. Thank you very much. Some drivers we spoke to in Collin County had struggles with the slick roads as the wintry mix started pretty early this morning.
Fox 4's Alex Boyer joining us now from Collin County with more. How are the roads looking, Alex?
Hey guys, they're not looking so great. We're in Plano, and at the moment, some light rain continues to fall through this area. That is Central Expressway behind me. Things running pretty slow, as I mentioned. It's definitely wet and slippery out here. Headed north on Central Expressway Thursday morning, it was a slow go as sleet pelted vehicles near the Dallas-Collin County line. Crews were out treating the roads, trying to keep motorists from slipping and sliding. Still, the deteriorating road conditions proved treacherous for some. We saw several cars spun out. One ended up on the shoulder. The snow blanketed neighborhoods in the city of Frisco. And as we drove north through the city of Allen, we began to see more snow falling. Still, the roads felt more slushy and difficult to maneuver at times. At the Buc-ee's in the city of Melissa,
it's been pretty terrifying so far.
Brianna Smith and her dog Riley stopped for a breather. Smith said the 5-hour drive from Tulsa, Oklahoma was a nail-biter. Her final destination is Austin.
Slow. Everybody's moving really slow, but I saw an 18-wheeler jackknife. People sliding all over the place. A lots of people that had just slid and kind of, I think, were too scared to keep moving, so just got out of their car and were just stranded. But I've seen people just pulling over to stop to stay safe, but it's super dangerous conditions.
It's called an auto sock.
Sean Spade is headed to Sherman for work. He stopped at the gas station to put auto socks on his rear tires. He says they act like snow chains for traction. Spade is taking the inclement weather in stride. What's it like when you got to work out in these conditions?
Cold. Just, I don't know. I'm used to it. I've been doing this for 18 years, so I'm used to it.
Tim Goldner seems used to it, too. He's got a 4x4 Jeep he uses for off-roading. Goldner is driving around the area, seeing if any stranded motorists need help.
Yeah, there's a car and a truck up there on 75 a little farther north. It looks like they're in the ditch in the wall. We're going to head back that way and see if there's anything we can do.
And Tim and his team definitely doing some good work out there, pulling that tractor trailer out of the shoulder there. Meanwhile, we did check with Plano Police, and a traffic sergeant tells us that as of this afternoon, they've responded to 19 crashes related to the bad weather. Back to you.
All right, Alex Boyer, east side of Plano, over by Central Expressway. Alex, thanks.
And I always like it when the Jeeps come out, when those folks come out and help everybody in need, because they do a great job. And be sure to stay with Fox 4 throughout this winter storm. We're going to have 24/7 updates on our website, fox4news.com, and streaming for free, Fox Local. Just ahead tonight, America says farewell in a state funeral to President Jimmy Carter. How President Biden remembered and honored the country's 39th president.
Calmer wind helping in the fight against a series of deadly wildfires burning in California. The remains of President Jimmy Carter are back in Georgia tonight, where he will be buried in a private service.
This morning, President Biden delivered the eulogy in a state funeral at the National Cathedral in the nation's capital. Fox's Caroline Elliott reports.
Spectators lined up early and braved the cold to say goodbye to America's 39th president. Carter, a former naval officer, engineer, and peanut farmer, died at the age of 100 after 22 months in hospice care. Thursday, he was honored with a state funeral at the National Cathedral, where family, friends, and several high-profile guests, including every living former president, came together to pay their respects.
I miss him, but I take solace in knowing that he and his beloved Rosalind are reunited again.
President Joe Biden delivered the eulogy and remembered him as a humble man of deep faith. Colleagues and family also honored Carter's legacy of selfless leadership and service.
President Carter parked politics at the Oval Office door to do what he believed was the right thing.
2 posthumous eulogies were also delivered. The sons of Carter's late Vice President Walter Mondale and his White House predecessor Gerald Ford, both reading speeches their fathers wrote before they died.
Jimmy Carter and I were rivals, but for the many wonderful years that followed, friendship bonded us.
After the funeral, President Carter was honored at the Baptist Church here, where he taught Sunday school ever since leaving the White House in 1981. In Plains, Georgia, Caroline Elliott, Fox 4 News.
All right, this is fantastic. A couple in Decatur, Northwest Fort Worth, got outside today. They made the most of the snow and built a snowman, a giant one.
Apparently they're Green Bay Packers fans. They topped the snowman off with a Packers scarf and what looks to be a large bucket in place of the hat. That's in memory of, I don't know, Brett Favre or something.
They need a cheese head.
Thanks to Brandon Clybrink for sending this in. All right, Dan Henry's in. Dan, I was curious. I thought it was going to snow hard, and it did. And I think we got lucky because after some of the hard snows, then it started raining, and I think it wasn't allowed to really pile up. Right?
Yeah, that rain has kind of washed away some of the snow that we've seen in some areas. But again, Act 2 is going to come in here as we head through this evening and later on tonight, and that's going to take the form of snow in many areas. Here's a look at the weather headlines. That wintry mix that we've seen literally all day long, oscillating between snow and sleet and rain, but changing over to snow in many areas tonight. That will lead to additional accumulations and hazardous driving conditions. And the slush that we see Friday afternoon with temperatures that go up into the middle 30s is going to refreeze hard Friday night and early Saturday morning. Love this picture here from Kim Phillips up in St. Joe. They've had about 5 inches of snow up there in Montague County, so a lot more now than you see pictured there when that photo was taken. Here's a look at some snowfall totals. Bonham, Salina, 6 inches of snow. McKinney, Marianne, Champagny, 4 inches. In Keller, 2 inches of snow, and Haltom City, about 1 inch so far. Temperatures generally hovering right around 32 to 33 degrees. A little warmer down to our south, where it's 35 at Hillsboro, and we're checking in right now at 31 in Bonham. So once again, it is a hodgepodge, a wintry mix featuring all precipitation types across North Texas, but it is leaning more towards snow the farther north you get, where you're seeing these blue colors, Wise County, Cook County into Grayson County, and a good portion of Collin County. And then you get south into the Metroplex, it's just rain in downtown Dallas. Sean Rabb was out there getting wet about 15 minutes or so ago. Same story in Fort Worth, but there are pockets that we're seeing some sleet pellets and some wet snowflakes and some heavier precipitation developing down to our southwest. It's heavy rain now at Meridian, but I think over the next couple of hours we are going to start to see a changeover. There's a look at our current conditions right now, between 32 and 34 degrees with a light east-northeast wind. So here's how it plays out with Futurecast. Again, we're going to see a wintry mix continuing for the next hour or two, but as the evening progresses and cold air works its way into this system, we'll see that change over to snow in many areas, and in many areas that to our south that didn't see any snow yet today are going to get at least a little bit as we we head through tonight into very early tomorrow morning. Tapers off to flurries in many areas by around sunrise tomorrow morning. Could still see some lingering flurries through about 9 o'clock in the morning, and then we'll start to see those clouds breaking up a bit mid to late afternoon. Look at the total snowfall here, and I want to draw your attention to the drastic differences in amounts from southern Tarrant and southern Dallas counties, where we're only really going to expect maybe an inch or two. And then as you head up towards, let's say, the Dallas and Collin County lines, now you're in the 3 to 5 inch category. And Denton, McKinney, north to the Red River, 6 to 9 inches of snowfall. In fact, many areas up here already well on their way to those amounts. Day planner, 31 degrees early tomorrow morning, so it's not going to turn real cold overnight tonight. We will get up into at least the mid-30s tomorrow, and then a hard refreeze late Friday night, early Saturday morning. And on top of that, there's likely going to be some fog forming. And when you've got fog with temperatures below freezing, that's freezing fog that could produce some black ice. The good news is a big-time thaw is expected during the afternoon, both Saturday and Sunday, and that sun should melt a lot of what we see so that it should be back to normal come Monday morning.
Firefighters in Southern California have made some progress, but wildfires are still burning out of control near Los Angeles.
At least 6 people are now confirmed dead, and officials warn it remains unclear where the true death toll stands. Fox's Sunny Sai has the latest.
It looked apocalyptic.
The devastation unprecedented as wildfires continue to burn across Los Angeles. In Pacific Palisades, entire neighborhoods have been reduced to ash.
It is safe to say that the Palisades fire is one of the most destructive natural disasters in the history of Los Angeles.
That fire, burning more than 17,000 acres so far and destroying more than 1,000 structures.
It just took a long time to fathom that this could just all disappear like that.
More than 180,000 people have been put under evacuation orders as 5 fires continue to burn across LA. Thousands of firefighters on the ground are working to contain the firestorm. 100-mile-per-hour winds that fueled the flames earlier this week have calmed for now, but are expected to return in the coming days.
The winds will die down a little bit, and you think, oh, here's where we can hunker in and get some containment, and then all of a sudden the real gusts come back, and it's back and off to the races again.
Those high winds make the fire's path unpredictable. Officials urge residents to be prepared to evacuate at a moment's notice.
When you are asked to evacuate immediately. Do not hesitate.
We're getting our first look at some of the widespread devastation left behind now, and residents are wondering how they will even begin to pick up the pieces.
Los Angeles has true grit. It has resilience, and it will rebuild, and it will rebuild better than ever.
In total, these fires have burned more than 29,000 acres across Los Angeles. In Pacific Palisades, Sunnyside, Fox News.
And those fires are preventing President Joe Biden from making his final overseas trip before leaving office. He was scheduled to visit the Vatican this afternoon after he delivered the eulogy for President Jimmy Carter, but he chose to remain in Washington, D.C. so that he could monitor the fires. Stay with us. More in a moment. Thank you for watching Fox 4 News at 5. Heather and I will see you back tonight at 6. Clarice is in right now with more news.
You're watching Fox 4 News.
And more snow is expected tonight. The roads could be a mess again tomorrow morning. Good evening. I'm Clarice Tinsley. Drone video is going to give us a good look at the snow that blanketed the Frisco area. Northern parts of this area got up to 6 inches of snow. Really pretty if you do not have to get out in it. Coverage tonight will be more widespread. Let's look now from our drive cam, and this is giving you a look at conditions on I-35 in Denton County. Roads are slick and slushy. Temperatures right now hovering around the freezing mark. The major concern this evening is that precipitation is going to refreeze. Let's get the latest from Dan Henry. Hey, Dan.
Hey there, Clarice. Yeah, it's a hodgepodge right now of rain, sleet, and snow, depending upon where you are. In most areas, that is going to change over to snow as we head through this evening, leading to more hazardous road conditions. The snow tapers off pretty quickly Friday morning to flurries, but we'll be left behind with some slushy and, in some cases, snow-covered roadways. Those roads become slushy Friday afternoon as temperatures rise up to around 36-37. No precipitation, but a hard refreeze will mean tough driving conditions again late Friday night and early Saturday morning. Temperatures hovering right around 32 to 33 here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, 31 up in Bowie. A little warmer down in Hillsborough at 35 degrees. So here's a look at the wintry mix, and it truly has been a wintry mix all day long. It's leaning more towards snow, though, up around Montague County, Cook County, Grayson County, over towards Fannin County, sleet and snow there in Wise County. Into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, the downtown areas of Fort Worth and Dallas predominantly rain, down to the south through Mansfield and DeSoto, but we do have a few wet snowflakes mixing in occasionally, and heavy rain down to our southwest at this time, Meridian down into Hill County. But I think even in those areas we're going to see a change over to snow this evening before it all ends. There you can see current temperature readings between 32 and 34 degrees. How much are we expecting in total? We'll talk more in detail about that, step you through the 7-day forecast as well, coming up in a few minutes.
See you soon, Dan. Street crews have been fanned out across North Texas, working to try and make the roads safer. And while it's been treacherous for some, the snow has been a joy for others. Fox Source Deanne Anglin joins us live to show us conditions in Tarrant County. Hi, Deanne.
Hi there, Clarice. Well, how many ways can we say it? It has been a mixed wintry bag, and the day has brought about driving challenges, but also fun for the kiddos, even pets. Call it the dog days of winter, and that's just for starters. The snowy backdrop in northern Tarrant and Denton counties brought out the pets, people, and of course, the playful at heart. From shoveling the soft white powder to rolling around in it. Evie Kolaric, her younger brother and sister, Ian Argyle, pretty much have a one-track mind.
Play in the snow.
Their dad is contemplating joining them to build an igloo.
I'll think about it. I'm kind of liking the quietness inside the house, so I'll probably come out and help them out.
Diana Griffith moved to Texas 2 years ago from Florida.
My husband hates it. He's in the house. But I love it.
And she's determined to build a great snowman.
I'd be afraid to drive in it, but it's fun to play in.
Driving, another aspect altogether. In Fort Worth, roads and freeways by midday Thursday, slushy and precarious.
The biggest thing is people driving too fast. That's what I worry about most. It is slippery out there, and just, people slow down, please. You just got to be careful out there.
Great advice. We cannot say it enough. Take extra precautions if you have to get behind the wheel. Keep your distance from other vehicles and watch your speed. That's the very latest live. Clarice, back to you.
All right, Dan, thanks. And as we've seen throughout this day, road conditions have been treacherous in Collin and Denton counties. Denton police posted pictures of tanker trucks stranded on the I-35 service road northbound near Buc-ee's. Jeeps help pull the trucks out of the way. The highway main lines are still passable, but moving very slowly. The school snow day did not disappoint kids in Richardson, where there was enough snow for snowballs, snowmen, and sledding. Fox Source Lori Brown is live in Richardson to show us more. Hey, Lori.
Hi, Clarice. It's been a couple of years since kids in Richardson were able to go sledding in the snow, and so when everyone woke up this morning with no signs of snow, they were prepared to be disappointed, but within just a couple of hours, everything changed. In just a matter of hours Thursday morning, North Texas turned into a giant playground.
I love it. I've been waiting for this day the whole year.
11-year-old Diego Garza has put his entrepreneurial skills to work in anticipation of this very possibility.
I created this snowball maker with my 3D printer to just clamp it. And then you open it, and there's a perfect snowball. It's good. It's compact, so it doesn't like break off when you throw it.
What do you think of this snowball maker your brother made?
It's cool. He made me one that shaped like a heart.
It's a snow that turned out to be better than kids expected.
When you woke up, were you expecting this?
Yeah, well, maybe. No. It's like slippery now because the rain, so it goes faster.
Better than you expected?
Yeah. My mom said it was going back and forth with snow and not snow, and the night before this, my mom said it's not going to snow, and then the next day it snowed.
But even after the snow started, some still doubted.
I told my brother and his friend that it was snowing, and they were like, it's just frost. And I was like, no, it's actually snow. And then his friend was like, oh no, it's actually snow.
What was the first thing you did when you went outside?
Tried to catch it in my mouth.
I think it's so fun. It's like a winter wonderland in Texas. Like I get to see my little siblings and cousins play in it. Still, some of them for like the first time they remember, so that's been really, really fun.
I didn't know it was going to snow this much because usually I go skiing and it doesn't really snow that much in Texas, so I'm like really surprised. I think this is like really, really special.
Special indeed. Even with all of this rain that's been going for about an hour now out here, there's still a significant amount of snow on the ground, and with more snow in the forecast for overnight, kids are really hoping that maybe they can get a couple more hours of sledding in tomorrow morning. Clarice?
Let's hope they can. And Lori, it was wonderful hearing from the children how they're reacting to the snow. It's just refreshing. It's really, really good. Thank you so much. The Ohio State University Band arrived in North Texas today ahead of the Cotton Bowl tomorrow. The band is making its first stop in Melissa at the Melissa Championship Center for rehearsals. The UT Band put on its rehearsals at the Coppell ISD Fieldhouse today. Both rehearsals were open to the public, and we talked to a fan still holding out hope to score tickets with help from the winter storm.
I had a friend of mine that was looking at tickets over $750, and that was that was the regular price. I was looking to see maybe if you can find some deals people can't get here from Ohio. So I might go. Class 84, so I've got to support my Longhorns.
The bands will take the field tomorrow during the Cotton Bowl Classic at AT&T Stadium. Winter weather has some people stuck in North Texas as ground stops at DFW Airport and Love Field force more cancellations. Hundreds of flights have been canceled, though some here in North Texas took the opportunity to explore. We heard from 2 international flight attendants who say the weather right now is nothing compared to what they experience back home.
This is a very nice spring day. Yes, in Finland this is spring, but you are not prepared. But do you need to be prepared for only 2 days in a year? Maybe not.
Okay, a spring day in Finland in North Texas. The women say they were set to fly out of DFW Airport this evening, but the weather conditions are only expected to get worse. School administrators had to make the call in anticipation of our bad weather. Ahead, some districts used humor to spread the news that classes were called off. And let's take a live look outside. The latest at our winter storm warning just ahead. You are watching the only local 5:30 news and weather in all of North Texas. As schools closed for the winter weather, a few North Texas educators came up with creative ways to announce the news to their students. So check out this video from Forney ISD.
I was just looking at the weather. It's not looking good. And I just looked out my window and it is snowing. I'll go check if there's ice on the ground. I'll be back. Yeah, we got ice.
So funny, so creative, and the staff, as you saw, even threw ice on the ground to convince their superintendent to cancel classes. The school will continue to monitor the weather for the next few days. Meantime, in Little Elm, the school weighed the pros and cons of deciding to cancel. Take a look.
Oh, okay. I understand. We gotta make a decision. What? Are we gonna stay at school, or are we gonna have to cancel school?
This is a great decision. I think we should stay at school so that we can ride the lunch train down that hill.
All right, that's decisive leadership right there. Ultimately, the decision came to a very serious game of rock, paper, scissors, and the district, of course, closed for the day. Then there were a few schools that used the power of song to announce their closures. Check out this video from Brock ISD, about 40 miles southwest of Fort Worth.
Ice, ice, space.
Brock ISD is closed.
Ice, ice, space.
Brock ISD is closed.
We out.
All right, rocking that. The school noted the unpredictability of the weather made it a difficult decision to shut down for the day, but they did it for the safety of their staff and their students. Let's just say the staff at Mary Moore Elementary School in Fort Worth ISD is getting into the frozen spirit.
Do you want to have a snow day? Let us all stay home from school. I promise I will read a book. Go out and look. I know it would be cool. I'll make science observations. I'll do some math. Measure the snow in my yard. Do you want to have a snow day? You know Texans need a snow day. Okay, bye.
Fantastic. Their rendition of the Disney hit song worked. Fort Worth ISD already made the call to remain closed tomorrow. Several other districts will continue to monitor the weather before making their decision. Stay with us. More Fox 4 News and Dan coming up.
That's a look at the Richardson area with a blanket of snow on the ground that's kind of turned slushy with some rain late this afternoon. That wintry mix, though, is going to be changing over to snow in many areas as we head through this evening. That will lead to additional accumulations and hazardous driving conditions as well. And then any slush that we see is going to refreeze late Friday night and early Saturday morning. That's when we're going to feel the coldest temperatures with lows in the teens up to our north and northeast, low 20s here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So on the roads tonight, with that wintry mix changing to snow and the temperatures dipping a couple degrees, that'll lead to hazardous road conditions. We'll keep the red light on early tomorrow morning. Even though the snow is tapering off, there'll be slushy roads to, in some cases, snow-covered roads, especially to the north of the Metroplex. That'll turn to slush during the afternoon, so road conditions will improve Friday afternoon into early Friday evening, but not for very long as it really turns cold late Friday night, early Saturday morning with that refreeze and some patchy fog. And when fog develops with temperatures below freezing, that's freezing fog, and that could lead to some black ice in some areas. Snowfall amounts: Salina 6 inches, Trenton 5 inches, Pilot Point 4 inches. Saxe has had 2 inches so far, and that's roughly the same in the South Lake and Keller areas. Current temperature readings right around 32 to 33 in Dallas and Fort Worth, 33 Waxahachie, and notice temperatures falling a little bit down to our south and west as well. Stephenville now at 32 degrees. It continues to be a potpourri, literally, of all precipitation types across North Texas. That said, it is definitely leaning more towards snow the farther north you go. Most of the blue color that you see there is falling as snow now, especially north of Highway 380. You head southbound into the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Rain in Dallas, Mesquite, DeSoto, Ferris, Seagoville. Rain as well out towards Arlington, but there could be now some snow starting to mix in western Tarrant County as we begin to see more lift. That's cooling the upper levels of the atmosphere, and also down to our southwest. Wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing a little bit of a changeover in some areas out towards Erath County and Hamilton County. It's definitely still rain, though, across Hill County and Navarro counties at this point in time. So that big upper level low, as it continues to draw closer, we're going to see the atmosphere cool off above, and that's going to help change that wintry mix to all snow in many areas as we do head through tonight. Currently between 32 and 34 around the Metroplex. There you can see the snow-covered landscape right outside of DFW Airport right now. There's the big view, and there's our upper level low. Again, as that approaches, we're going to see Act 2 with the precipitation changing over to snow as we head through tonight. Here's how it plays out with Futurecast, and follow these blue and white colors here as they move down to the south and southwest. As the atmosphere cools off, we'll see that changeover taking place, and even areas like Cleburne, for instance, and Mansfield and Waxahachie that haven't seen any snow yet, we'll get maybe a slushy inch or two of snow as we head through the especially late evening hours tonight. That snow will continue for a time overnight and then taper off to kind of snow flurries as we head through tomorrow morning. Those snow flurries will likely not lead to any additional accumulation. So, as you can imagine, snowfall totals are going to vary considerably from only an inch or less, in fact, much less in much areas, down around Corsicana, Athens, Hillsboro, 1 to 2 inches up around Waxahachie, Cleburne, sparse southern Tarrant and Dallas counties. And then look how quickly those amounts rise as you head northbound here. And Denton, McKinney up towards the Red River. 6 to 9 inches of snow. In fact, they're well on their way in those areas to already realizing those numbers. 31 degrees overnight tonight. We'll see a high temperature tomorrow climb to 36 or 37. Then a refreeze Friday night. Some freezing fog as well. The good news is sunshine and 40s by the afternoon. Should do a lot of melting this weekend. And we're back in the 50s Tuesday through Thursday.
People and animals across North Texas are making the best out of the winter weather in cattle mills. It marked baby Adeline's first time seeing snow. Big day for her. Others enjoyed playing in it. Here's a look at Cowboys-themed snowman from the Salgado family in Frisco. Very nice. And in Allen, snow on the ground, perfect for making snow angels. I loved doing that when I was a little girl in Detroit. And ducks in Crum and cows in Paris were also taking advantage of the outdoors. Thank you for sending us your viewer pics. We love seeing them and sharing them. More Fox 4 News in a moment. Stay warm. More news now with Steve and Heather.
Everybody's trying, Clarice. Thank you. All right, so here's a look at what's coming up on Fox 4 News at 6.
The winter storm we've been talking about all week is here, and it's caused a lot of issues on the roadways in particular. One semi-driver relying on the help of a Good Samaritan and his Jeep to be pulled free this morning in Anna.
And that means it's been a busy day for TxDOT crews, and as you can see, people are hard at work because nobody's at their desks. They're kind of checking things out, watching the monitors, all there in the back, all hands on deck.
And as you might expect, the storm is causing airline delays and cancellations, along with ground stops at DFW and Love Field. Fox 4 News at 6 starts right now.
Here for you. Fox 4 News starts now.
Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Hayes.
And I'm Steve Eager. Kind of a mixed bag of weather today, with some North Texans seeing heavy snow and others seeing more of a sleet rain mix. Going to show you what it looked like earlier today at the Star in Frisco using our drone. LaMarcus Woodruff shared this with us. The highest snowfall totals we've seen so far are about 6 inches.
So let's take a live look outside right now. As we go through the night, the storm will become mainly a snow event. The snow will get heavier, so Chief Meteorologist Dan Henry is going to talk about all this and what that means for the roadways as well. Dan?
Yeah, thank you, Steve. And Heather, we're already starting to see that transition take place out to our west. Places like Mineral Wells and Jacksboro and Weatherford have now gone back over to snow, according to some of the observations that we're getting and what we're also showing on radar. This is predominantly snow to our north, all across Cook County, Grayson County, Fannin County. Many of those areas have seen upwards of a half a foot of snowfall already. We bring you down into the Metroplex here, and it's mainly just cold rain falling in downtown Dallas, eastward into Rockwall County, down into Johnson and Ellis counties. But out west now, we're starting to see, I think, a changeover taking place. Sleet and snow here in Erath County, Palo Pinto County, and Parker County, with rain farther east into Bosque County and Hill County. But we're going to show you temperatures 32 32, 33 degrees here in the Metroplex, 33 Meridian, 36 in Corsicana. I'll play out several hours of Futurecast here to show you the trend is going to be as we head through this evening for the wintry mix to go over to snow. This is 9 o'clock, and I think we're going to see it change over back to snow across a good part of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Places that haven't seen any snow, like Cleburne and Waxahachie and Mansfield and Granbury, should pick up at least a slushy inch or two of snowfall as we head through this evening. And I think by midnight tonight, many areas will be going over to snow with still some rain holding on as you head out towards Athens, Palestine, and into the Corsicana area. I'll play the rest of Futurecast, let you know how much additional snow we're expecting. 7-day outlook as well coming up, all in just a few minutes.
Okay, Dan, see you in a few. Thank you. Street crews have been working across North Texas to keep the roads as clear as possible.
So while it has been treacherous for some people, the snow has been a joy for others. For others, somewhere in between. Fox 4's Dion Englund joins us now live with more on what's happening. Hey, Dion.
Hey there, Heather. That's right. A little bit of everything out here. It has been a challenging day for driving, but some fun for the kiddos and pets.
Call it the dog days of winter, and that's just for starters. The snowy backdrop in northern Tarrant and Denton counties brought out the pets, people, and of course, the playful at heart. From shoveling the soft white powder to rolling around in it. Evie Kolaric, her younger brother and sister, Ian Argyle, pretty much have a one-track mind.
Play in the snow.
Their dad is contemplating joining them to build an igloo.
I'll think about it. I'm kind of liking the quietness inside the house, so I'll probably come out helping out.
Diana Griffith moved to Texas 2 years ago from Florida.
My husband hates it. He's in the house, but I love it.
And she's determined to build a great snowman.
I'd be afraid to drive in it, but it's fun to play in.
Driving, another aspect altogether. In Fort Worth, roads and freeways by midday Thursday, slushy and precarious.
The biggest thing is people driving too fast. That's what I worry about most. It is slippery out there, and just, you know, people slow down, please. You just got to be careful out there.
Very, very good advice. If you are getting behind the wheel, just remember, don't get overconfident. The roads, the conditions are changing rapidly. Slow down and give yourself a lot of space. That's the very latest live. Back to you guys.
All right, Dion, thank you.
So let's talk about another kind of travel, air travel. Many flights across the country coming to or through DFW Airport have not been able to take off to get here because of the North Texas snow and ice.
A ground stop has been in effect much of the day for incoming flights and will remain that way until at least 7 p.m. A ground stop at Love Field just expired at 6 p.m. According to FlightAware, more than 1,500 inbound and outgoing flights canceled at DFW, more than 270 canceled at Love Field. Even flights that are able to take off are delayed. DFW Airport says those delays are so that airlines can de-ice planes before taking off. Anybody traveling, of course, should check with your airline before venturing out.
In anticipation of the weather, our airline partners began adjusting their flight schedules as of yesterday. So last night we started seeing a lot of cancellations coming in for the next day or so. As always, passengers should check directly with their airlines for flight statuses and assistance with rescheduling.
And so far, both airports remain open, no plans to close.
Some drivers we spoke with in Collin County had struggles with the slick roads as the wintry mix started early this morning.
Fox 4's Alex Boyer has more from Collin County. Alex.
Hey guys, we are in Plano, and at the moment I can tell you a steady cold rain is coming down in this area. That's Interstate 75 behind me. Pretty quiet right now. The road's definitely slippery and wet. Headed north on Central Expressway Thursday morning, it was a slow go as sleet pelted vehicles near the Dallas-Collin County line. Crews were out treating the roads, trying to keep motorists from slipping and sliding. Still, the deteriorating road conditions proved treacherous for some. We saw several cars spun out. One ended up on the shoulder. The snow blanketed neighborhoods in the city of Frisco. And as we drove north through the city of Allen, we began to see more snow falling. Still, the roads felt more slushy and difficult to maneuver at times. At the Buggies in the city of Melissa,
it's been pretty terrifying so far.
Brianna Smith and her dog Riley stopped for a breather. Smith said the 5-hour drive from Tulsa, Oklahoma was a nail-biter. Her final destination is Austin.
Slow. Everybody's moving really slow, but I saw an 18-wheeler jackknifed, people sliding all over the place, lots of people that had just slid and kind of, I think, were too scared to keep moving, so just got out of their car and were just stranded. But I've seen people just pulling over to stop to stay safe, but it's super dangerous conditions.
It's called an auto sock.
Sean Spade is headed to Sherman for work. He stopped at the gas station to put auto socks on his rear tires. He says they act like snow chains for traction. Spade is taking the inclement weather in stride. What's it like when you got to work out in these conditions?
Cold. Just, I don't know. I'm used to it. I've been doing this for 18 years, so I'm used to it.
Tim Gollner seems used to it, too. He's got a 4x4 Jeep he uses for off-roading. Gollner is driving around the area, seeing if any stranded motorists need help.
There's a car and a truck up there on 75 a little farther north. It looks like they're in the ditch in the wall. We're going to head back that way and see if there's anything we can do.
And as you saw there, Tim did indeed get that 18-wheeler off of the shoulder. His crew doing lots of good work out there today with their 4x4 Jeep. In the meantime, we did check with Plano PD, and a traffic sergeant tells us that so far today they've responded to 19 incidents from this weather. Back to you.
All right, Alex, thank you.
Winter weather has caused the Mavericks to move up tonight's scheduled game at the AAC. Originally, the game was supposed to tip off at 7:30, but today the team announced it would start at 6:30. So if you're at home and you have tickets, you better get moving. The game starts in about 20 minutes.
Well, coming up, firefighters are trying to get a handle on these deadly wildfires burning in Southern California. The latest look at the devastation ahead.
5 current and former U.S. presidents have come together as the country says goodbye to President Jimmy Carter. President Jimmy Carter is in Georgia tonight, where he will be buried in a private service.
This morning, President Biden delivered the eulogy in a state funeral at the National Cathedral in the nation's capital. Fox's Caroline Elliott reports.
Spectators lined up early and braved the cold to say goodbye to America's 39th president. Carter, a former naval officer, engineer, and peanut farmer, died at the age of 100 after 22 months in hospice care. Thursday, he was honored with a state funeral at the National Cathedral, where family, friends, and several high-profile guests, including every living former president, came together to pay their respects.
I miss him, but I take solace in knowing that he and his beloved Rosalind are reunited again.
President Joe Biden delivered the eulogy and remembered him as a humble man of deep faith. Colleagues and family also honored Carter's legacy of selfless leadership and service.
President Carter parked politics at the Oval Office door to do what he believed was the right thing.
2 posthumous eulogies were also delivered. The sons of Carter's late Vice President Walter Mondale and his White House predecessor Gerald Ford, both reading speeches their fathers wrote before they died.
Jimmy Carter and I were rivals, but for the many wonderful years that followed, friendship bonded us.
After the funeral, President Carter was honored at the Baptist Church here, where he taught Sunday school ever since leaving the White House in 1981. In Plains, Georgia, Caroline Elliott, Fox 4 News.
A Fox 4 viewer sent us this video of a nearly empty Galleria in Dallas. That's right at 635 in the North Dallas Tollway. This is just before 11 this morning. I think it opens at 10.
Yeah, and the mall decided to stay open, but lots of stores inside were closed. I guess employees, of course, having challenges getting there.
The walkers were out, of course. Can't stop the mall walkers.
People looking for a deal.
Little exercise.
Yep, few shoppers were out there. At last check, Galleria had not made a decision about opening tomorrow.
Here's a look at some preliminary snowfall totals. Jacksboro 4 inches. Honey Grove up in Lamar County has had 4 inches of snow so far. So has Denison. Prosper 3.5, and around the Addison area, Plano in that 2-inch range. For tonight, as we see this wintry mix changing over to snow, that's going to lead to hazardous driving conditions once again. The snow will taper off by early tomorrow morning in many areas, leaving behind, in some cases, slushy roads, and in other cases, snow-covered roads. Friday afternoon, it turns to slush, so driving conditions will improve. Temperatures rise up to around 36, 37 degrees. No precipitation, but once again, we'll put the red light on for late Friday night, early Saturday morning as that slush refreezes. It's going to be very cold by early Saturday morning, upper teens to our north and northeast, lower 20s in Dallas and Fort Worth. And then on top of that, we could see some fog develop that leads to some black ice. Fog with temperatures below freezing is called freezing fog. There's a look at additional snowfall accumulations that we expect between now and early tomorrow morning. Another 2 to 4 inches from roughly Denton and McKinney up to Gainesville, Sherman, Bonham, over towards Paris. 2, maybe up to 3 inches in northern Dallas, northern Tarrant counties, into southern Denton, southern Collin County, back about as far west as Bowie and Bridgeport. Another inch or 2 here in southern Tarrant, southern Dallas counties, down into Cleburne, Granbury, Waxahachie. So yes, places that have been flirting with snow through the day, I think are going to get a little bit as we head through this evening, and in general an inch or less in far southern and southeastern parts of the area. We're already starting to see that transition from a wintry mix to snow taking place to our west. Up north, it's all snow, and it's remained really snow all day. Cook County, Montague County, Grayson County, over into Fannin County. We head down into the Metroplex here. It's still rain for the most part. Arlington, the mid-cities, eastward into downtown Dallas, Mesquite, and Garland. But it does look like it's now starting to change over to snow just west of Fort Worth out towards Parker County. And as we head into the Erath County vicinity, Stephenville, more than likely a mix of rain, sleet, and snow. And that's heavy rain for the moment down around Clifton and Bosque County and over into a Hill County. But as we we show you Futurecast here, once again, the trend is from basically west and northwest. As we head southeastward through this evening, we're going to see that rain-snow line advancing off to the east and southeast. And by midnight, I expect most areas will be snow from, let's say, Johnson and Ellis counties northward to the Red River. Still holding on with rain down around Athens and Palestine. Even those areas will likely see it change over to snow briefly overnight tonight, and then by early tomorrow morning, these are snow flurries, a few snow showers that will continue, and it dries up pretty quickly as we head towards midday, and we'll likely see a little breaks develop in the clouds as we head through the afternoon hours. Current conditions, we're between 32, 33 degrees right now. Dallas, Fort Worth, McKinney, Arlington slightly warmer at 34, humidity at 92% with a northeast wind at 5. A total snowfall expected 6 to 9 inches from that Highway 380 corridor up to the Red River, and you can see just how dramatically those snow totals go downward as you head off to our south and southeast. But by tomorrow morning, just about everyone in North Texas will at least see some snowfall. We'll start out at 31 degrees early tomorrow morning. Look for a high temperature tomorrow afternoon climbing to about 36 or 37. A hard refreeze early Saturday morning, even some freezing fog. The good news is we warm up with sunshine in the afternoon, do a lot of melting this weekend. We should be back to normal in all areas for the Monday morning commute, and then high temperatures finally getting back to normal by Wednesday and Thursday in the 50s.
All right, Dan, thanks. Make sure you download the free Fox 4 weather app for the latest winter weather alerts. The radar is interesting because you can overlay it with different products, and you can see where it's snowing, where it's raining, and where it's a mix. That's helpful. If you scan the QR code on your screen, it'll take you right to it. The app has live radar, as I mentioned, weather alerts, and a lot more. New evacuations are ordered after a new fire broke out near Los Angeles just this afternoon.
Meanwhile, President Biden received a briefing on the fires and promised the federal government would cover 100% of the disaster response cost for the next 6 months. Fox's Sunny Sai has the latest.
It looked apocalyptic.
The devastation unprecedented as wildfires continue to burn across Los Angeles. In Pacific Palisades, entire neighborhoods have been reduced to ash.
It is safe to say that the Palisades fire is one of the most destructive natural disasters in the history of Los Angeles.
That fire burning more than 17,000 acres so far and destroying more than 1,000 structures.
It just took a long time to fathom that this could just all disappear like that.
More than 180,000 people have been put under evacuation orders as 5 fires continue to burn across LA. Thousands of firefighters on the ground are working to contain the firestorm. 100-mile-per-hour winds that fueled the flames earlier this week have calmed for now, but are expected to return in the coming days.
The winds will die down a little bit, and you think, oh, here's where we can hunker in and get some containment, and then all of a sudden the real gusts come back, and it's back and off to the races again.
Those high winds make the fire's path unpredictable. Officials urge residents to be prepared to evacuate at a moment's notice.
When you are asked to evacuate immediately. Do not hesitate.
We're getting our first look at some of the widespread devastation left behind now, and residents are wondering how they will even begin to pick up the pieces.
Los Angeles has true grit. It has resilience, and it will rebuild, and it will rebuild better than ever.
In total, these fires have burned more than 29,000 acres across Los Angeles. In Pacific Palisades, Sunny Sai, Fox News.
Still ahead tonight, a local group is working to get those who are homeless off the streets into shelters. Coming up at 6:30, volunteers talk about some of the challenges convincing people to take shelter.
The FDA has released its first ever guidance for using AI while developing prescription drugs and medical devices. The Biden administration has successfully blocked a plea deal for accused 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, at least for now. The decision by the federal appeals court follows an unusual request by the government to postpone a deal which was reached by the Defense Department. Mohammed had been scheduled to enter his plea tomorrow. That plea deal for Mohammed and two co-defendants spares them the death penalty.
Atlanta's DA wants Georgia's highest court to let her continue prosecuting President-elect Donald Trump. DA Fani Willis has been investigating Trump's alleged attempts to overturn the results of the 2020 election for nearly 4 years. An appeals court last month disqualified her and her office from continuing the case. It cited the appearance of impropriety based on a romantic relationship she had with a lawyer hired to oversee the case.
U.S. Supreme Court will hear arguments tomorrow about the fate of TikTok. TikTok says it plans to shut down the social media platform in the United States by January 19th. That is, unless the Supreme Court strikes down or otherwise delays the effective date of the law aimed at forcing TikTok's sale by its Chinese parent company. Enforcement of the law would be left to the incoming Trump administration. President-elect Donald Trump has dropped his support of the TikTok ban. The court's decision could come within a matter of days.
The FDA has released its first ever guidance on how drug makers can use AI. The effort hopes to help companies safely integrate the technology into research. Regulators say they want to create a standard of credibility and create trust in the programs helping make medicine. The agency says it will require drug makers to show exactly how they used AI to develop products. It's expected to take time for the technology to trickle down to consumers.
This year, AI is going to just show you how they can continue to make our lives easier and better, but consumers are not going to see a major change in their lifestyles just yet.
The FDA says it has been reviewing drugs created with AI since 2016. Most experts agree AI drug development will ramp up this year. Stay with us. More Fox 4 News in a moment.
Thank you for watching Fox 4 News at 6. Now, coming up next at 6:30, the weather continues to be the big story of the day. We'll update the winter storm conditions in a moment. First, here are some of the other stories we're covering this half hour.
Garland police say they have arrested a man for thefts at 2 homes. Did that just days before Christmas. 37-year-old William Lloyd Scott charged with theft of property. Police say Rowlett officers located Scott yesterday in the vehicle used during the thefts. Doorbell camera footage captured the thefts in progress. Detectives now working to determine if Scott was involved in any other thefts.
The United States Supreme Court just rejected President-elect Trump's bid to delay sentencing in his New York case. It comes shortly after New York's highest appeals court also declined to step in on the hush money case. The hearing is set for tomorrow. The judge overseeing the case has indicated he will not impose jail time, fines, or probation on Mr. Trump.
Kroger has reached a $110 million settlement with the state of Kentucky. A lawsuit accused Kroger of helping fuel the opioid epidemic. The state will use the money it's getting in its settlement to help fight addiction.
All right, here's a live look outside. The sun is down. You can see there's some snowflakes coming down. The roads are slick. Road conditions are expected to get worse. Let's check back in with Dan Henry for his look at the radar and what's still out there. Dan?
Thank you, Steve. Here's a look at the winter mosaic, as we call it here. We've seen a hodgepodge certainly all day long, from snow to sleet to rain, even a little bit of freezing rain. Most of what you're seeing up north here, from Wise County, Cook County, Grayson County, Fannin County, Collin County, especially once you get to McKinney on northward, is falling in the form of snow. It's mainly a cold rain here still in the Metroplex from the mid-cities eastward, certainly into downtown Dallas. It's liquid coming down, but you head out west to Fort Worth, and we're starting to see that changeover taking place from the mix back to snow, changing over as well out into Palo Pinto County. It's a mix in Erath County, and that's just heavy rain falling now at Clifton, Hillsborough, down through the Hubbard vicinity. Current temperature readings right around freezing or just above it. 32 McKinney, 33 Dallas and Fort Worth, 32 degrees in Granbury. Here's Futurecast. We'll play this out for the next several hours here, and that rain-snow line will slowly but surely advance from northwest to southeast across the area. So many areas will see that changeover to snow take place as we head through tonight. And so some of you that haven't seen any snow so far today are going to wind up with at least a little bit as we head into later tonight. We'll talk about those additional accumulations. Run down your 7-day forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, Dan, thank you. Road conditions could worse as we go throughout the evening. Could get worse as we go through the evening hours. We just heard it from Dan.
Well, that's the bad news. Fox 4's Amelia Jones is on I-35 in Denton near UNT's campus with an observation from there. They're driving around seeing what's on the roads. Amelia.
Hey, Heather and Steve. Yeah, we're on I-35 North, and the roads right now are just wet. We're also getting some rain right now, so not any sleet or any transition like Dan was mentioning that's happening more west in Fort Worth. Here, I want to click over to our road camera here so you can see what we're seeing, and we're actually behind a TxDOT sand truck, and I got a chance to speak to TxDOT with the Fort Worth district, and they told me really as the sun has gone down and into these later evening hours and even overnight, they're going to aggressively treat these roads because their biggest concern is any freezing or refreezing. And their main focus is on those elevated surfaces as overpasses, bridges, on-ramps, off-ramps. Those are going to be some of the first places that freeze when these temperatures drop. And of course, if that transition comes and you see that more sleet into snow mix. I also want to point out that we are seeing the snow piled up along here on I-35 North. And even as we're driving and we are closer to the ground and we could take a look at some of the businesses or even streets or residential areas, accumulated quite a bit up here in Denton today. I know we've seen some viewers send in photos of kind of what they're seeing up here, but yeah, starting to maybe see some flurries. I'm with my photographer, Quincy. Quincy, do you think we're maybe seeing some flurries here potentially? Yeah, okay. So starting to see some flurries as we're going further north here in Denton and Denton County. So far, drivers, it's been pretty smooth. We saw one abandoned car on the side. It looks like maybe they were going to change a tire or something. A driver wasn't there, but really and truly, everybody else seems to be heeding those warnings of taking it slow, taking your time. There's also not a lot of people out on the roads just in general. Even as we were heading from Dallas up here towards Denton, we even stopped at a Buggy's gas station, and it was pretty deserted. So a lot of people are being cautious, and a lot of people are taking those tips, staying home, not going out if they have to. But as I mentioned, and I spoke with TxDOT, their biggest concern is for that transition is when the temperatures drop, that things are going to freeze or refreeze. So that's their biggest concern, and that's really what they're working on right now. Is their crews are 24/7 operations, and they're aggressively treating these roads. They also have 50 additional crews from the southern region of the state up here helping out with this inclement weather. So they are hoping that with all of their preparation, they can keep things clear and traffic moving smoothly. But we'll be up here in the Denton County area all night, giving you a look, as Dan mentioned, when we're starting to get a little more of that transition. Again, even as we were driving, we started seeing things transition from rain into snow. But for now, I'll send things back to you guys in the studio. Steve, Heather.
All right, Amelia and Quincy, thank you both.
City of Dallas says it's been responding to snow and ice calls where needed, but they say there hasn't been really any significant problems.
Well, and the most attention right now truly is going to those who do not have shelter for the night. They don't have anywhere to go. Fox 4's Sean Rabb has the story.
Sand trucks spreading out across Dallas, responding to calls for slick spots, especially on bridges and overpasses in Oak Cliff. As precip falls and temperatures flirt with freezing, crashes. Over the past 24 hours, Dallas police working nearly 30 incidents. City leaders holding a virtual news conference where Emergency Management and Crisis Response Director Kevin Odom says in a 4-hour window Thursday morning between 8 and noon,
our volume of traffic accidents is roughly double what it normally would be.
The city overlaying accident locations with weather data to determine hotspots where streets need additional treatment. So far, though, not much impact. Only 10 traffic signals across the city impacted by the cold and flashing red.
We can grab your stuff if you want to.
Street outreach teams from Our Calling Homeless Ministry on what they call search and rescue missions Thursday, gently urging to get folks like this man huddled in the cold rain on the steps of a church to come and go with them. Some 1,268 people plus 13 pets have been brought in out of the cold so far, being housed at Austin Street Shelter and 2 places at Fair Park, Grand Place, and the Tower Building. The 3 facilities have a lot of room for more, only at 69% capacity.
This is a really great opportunity for us because we have people who come in who we would not normally reach, who are emergency shelter resistant. And we are using this time to really focus on housing as many of them as we can.
DallasCityHall.com Homeless Solutions has listed recreation centers that have what's called cold weather packs,
which include a Mylar blanket, gloves, hat, socks, and hand warmers.
And hunkering, like all of us, to wait for the worst of this winter storm. Sean Rabb, Fox 4 News.
Dallas was quieter than normal thanks to the winter weather. You'd understand that. But that did not stop people from getting outside, having to do their jobs.
Right?
That's what,
For
yeah.
sure, of course. Yeah, so some Dallas residents were out and about in the wintry mix, grabbing some last-minute supplies. We caught up with somebody outside of Kroger, this is in Northeast Dallas, who said, you know what, the weather's actually really exciting.
I just adore it. It's just, I've lived here all my life, and I just live for this. Are you kidding me?
I love it. You know, I've lived here all my life, 40 years, so, you know, I was always growing up, watching the news early in the morning, seeing if our schools were closed. So I'm used to it.
All right, so in other parts of the area, people were playing in the snow and, of course, making last-minute preparations before heavier snow sets in.
It definitely is fun, right? Especially with the kids.
Oh, my gosh, yeah, they're having a great time.
Snow days, and yeah, it's fun. The school's snow day did not disappoint children in Richardson, where there was enough snow for snowballs, snowmen, and even sledding.
And Fox 4's Lori Brown has the latest from Richardson.
It's been a couple of years since there was enough snow for sledding here in Richardson, so when kids woke up with no sign of snow, they were prepared to be disappointed. But within a couple of hours, everything changed. In just a matter of hours Thursday morning, North Texas turned into a giant playground.
I love it. I've been waiting for this day the whole year.
11-year-old Diego Garza has put his entrepreneurial skills to work in anticipation of this very possibility.
I created this snowball maker with my 3D printer to just clamp it. And then you open it, and there's a perfect snowball. It's good, it's compact, so it doesn't like break off when you throw it.
What do you think of this snowball maker your brother made?
It's cool. He made me one that shaped like a heart.
It's a snow that turned out to be better than kids expected. When you woke up, were you expecting this?
Yeah, well, maybe. No. It's like slippery now because the rain, so it goes faster.
Better than you expected?
Yeah. My mom said it was going back and forth with snow and not snow. And the night before this, my mom said it's not going to snow, and then the next day it snowed.
But even after the snow started, some still doubted.
I told my brother and his friend that it was snowing, and they were like, it's just frost. And I was like, no, it's actually snow. And then his friend was like, oh, no, it's actually snow.
What was the first thing you did when you went outside?
Tried to catch it in my mouth.
I think it's so fun. It's like a winter wonderland in Texas. Like I get to see my little siblings and cousins play in it. Still, some of them are for like the first time they remember, so that's been really, really fun.
I didn't know it was going to snow this much because usually I go skiing and it doesn't really snow that much in Texas, so I'm like really surprised. I think this is like really, really special.
Even with all of this rain, there's still a good amount of snow on the ground, and with more snow in the forecast, kids are really hoping that they'll get a couple more hours of sledding time in tomorrow morning. In Richardson, Lori Brown, Fox 4 News.
All right, good luck to Lori's kids having that kind of fun. A quick reminder that you can see all closings right now on fox4news.com, and we'll keep updating that list with additional information as it comes in about tomorrow's closures. They're also scrolling at the bottom of your screen right now.
All right, and coming up, we're going to check back in with Chief Meteorologist Dan Henry for an update on when the winter weather will start to move out.
Looks quiet out there.
What is everybody's home?
I know, warm and safe.
We'll be back.
Here's a look at our weather headlines. That wintry mix is going to change over to snow in many areas as we head through tonight, leading to additional accumulations and hazardous driving conditions. The slush then that we see Friday afternoon with melting is going to refreeze very hard Friday night with cold temperatures on the way. That's when we'll feel our coldest temperatures by early Saturday morning. Check out that snowman. That's a good 10 foot tall. Kendra Cooley in Whitesboro sharing that photo with us. We've had lots of great photos. Speaking of Whitesboro, they've had about 4.5 inches of snow. Melissa, 4 inches. Keller, 3 inches of snow. White Settlement, 3 inches. And out in Weatherford, Jerry Madonna with 2.5 inches of snowfall. So for tonight, with that precipitation changing over to snow, that will likely lead to hazardous driving conditions. And even when the snow tapers off Friday morning, we're going to be left with slushy to snow-covered roads. So we keep the red light on there. Caution during the afternoon. Yes, it will be slushy. But that doesn't give you permission to drive the speed limit. No precipitation falling. And then Saturday morning, we got to highlight that again. That slush will refreeze solid, and some freezing fog will likely produce black ice. Now, here's a look at the composite radar right now. We have seen a hodgepodge, and just about everyone has seen everything under the sun, from rain to sleet to snow. Even a few spots have seen some freezing rain. Sleet mixed with snow across a good part of our northern viewing area here, the Red River counties, Wise County, northern Denton County, northern Collin County, still coming down predominantly as rain in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but we are seeing a changeover taking place out to our west as you head out towards Parker County into Wise County. This is certainly still cold rain falling from Cleburne and Waxahachie down through Hillsboro and Corsicana, with a mixed bag going on at this hour around Erath County and the Stephenville area. Current temperatures, 31 Bowie, 32 in Bonham, right around 32 to 33 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and mid-30s down around Hillsboro and Corsicana. So notice the trend here as we show you futurecasts, that as that upper level low approaches tonight, the atmosphere is going to cool, and that's going to lead to a changeover, and we'll see that taking place very gradually from northwest and west to southeast as the evening progresses, so that by midnight tonight, I think many areas will be looking at snow, and that snow will last during the overnight period. And by early tomorrow morning, I think we're going to see it taper off quickly to snow flurries. Cloudy probably through noontime, and then we'll see those clouds breaking up a bit as we head through the afternoon. This is a look at additional snowfall expected, 2 to maybe up to 4 inches from that Highway 380 corridor up to the Red River and eastward into Lamar County, 2 maybe up to 3 inches in northern portions of the Metroplex, 1 to 2 inches of snowfall expected, southern Tarrant, southern Dallas counties, down into Waxahachie, Cleburne, Granbury, and then maybe up to an inch in some of our southern and southeastern portions of the area. 31 degrees, so we don't cool off too much overnight. Look for high temperatures tomorrow to slowly climb up to around 37. Watch out early Saturday morning for the refreeze. It'll be down to 23 with teens to our north in those heavy snow-packed areas, 44 in the afternoon. A lot of melting taking place this weekend, so we should be back to normal with the Monday morning commute, and temperatures reach the 50s, especially by Wednesday and Thursday.
Thank you, Dan. Coming up, why one of California's largest insurers canceled homeowners policies for people in Los Angeles who are now dealing with those very destructive wildfires. If you're wondering what's going to happen next once the fires in California are out, here's something that's already in motion. Most major insurers left the state of California, and so there is an insurance crisis.
The state's biggest, in fact, insurance company dropped thousands of policies. That happened last year. It leaves California's last resort insurer now picking up the pieces with very limited resources. Fox's Jerry Willis reports.
The tragedy of the California wildfires is setting in motion an insurance crisis after major insurers left the market last year. California's largest insurer, State Farm, canceled 72,000 policies last February, 30,000 of which were homeowner policies. And now the state's insurer of last resort, called the FAIR Plan, will likely be overwhelmed by billions in claims it will receive over the coming days and weeks. The 90272 zip code of Pacific Palisades experienced 1,930 policy cancellations between 2019 and 2024. That's 28 out of every 100 policies. That according to the San Francisco Chronicle. This is leaving many Californians without home insurance. Listen.
They think that they have valued their home at a certain amount, and they find out later that their insurance carrier was just using some algorithm that had nothing to do with the actual replacement cost of their home. And then also just this massive level of devastation.
As a result, homeowners have had to turn to the state's FAIR program, an insurance pool. The Pacific Palisades is the fifth largest user of FAIR policies in the state, with nearly $6 billion in exposure. But the FAIR program has only $700 million on hand to pay claims. Insiders have known about challenges to the state pool for years, one calling FAIR a ticking time bomb. Some context from Realtor.com, which is owned by our parent company. Just 5.5% of homes in the U.S. face the risk of wildfire damage, but 39.1% of them are in California, and L.A. is the riskiest city. And California policyholders, even those not in an affected area, should keep an eye out for higher assessments as a result of the unprecedented destruction in L.A. In New York, Jerry Willis, Fox Business.
And here's a reminder, you can watch Fox 4 News live anywhere with the Fox Local app. If we're not on, get the app and follow what's happening. Scan the QR code for Apple or Android. You get everything you need. Fox Local app is free, no subscription required. Stay with us. We'll be back. Our station dog, Poppy, there, she's a service dog in training, is seeing snow for the very first time today. She's kind of ramped up.
So cute.
What's going on here? This was taken earlier this morning. She's probably enjoying a little bit more snow this evening. Good for her.
Look for that wintry mix to change to snow as we head through tonight. It tapers off to flurries early tomorrow morning. Get a little melting tomorrow afternoon, 37, but a hard refreeze expected Friday night. Steve, Heather?
All right, Dan.
Okay.
That's exactly what I look like in the snow today.
This morning. Look at it. Check it out. Squirrel.
Hope you've enjoyed it and it hasn't been too much of a burden on you. We'll keep an eye on it, though, for you later.
Be safe. We'll see you back here tonight for Fox 4 News at 9.